Dick Fay. I truly wish that Kitty and I could be here to celebrate Dick's life. At the same time, it's somewhat appropriate. We are on our annual family summer vacation in Michigan with Kitty's brother Joe and sister Carrie, along with our daughters Amanda and Katie. After Dick and Kathy purchased the house in Falmouth, we would get together for family dinners on Sunday at least once a month in Evanston, and Dick would typically join us. He became that interesting uncle to my children and brother-in-law to Joe and Carrie, regaling us with stories about jazz artists he had seen and the rural life growing up in Massachusetts. If you ever hosted a dinner party with a disparate group of colleagues, work, neighbors, relatives, Dick was always great at making people feel comfortable with each other because he was such a Renaissance man, conversant on such a broad range of topics. Before there was IMDb, there was Dick Fay to discuss movies and TV shows. His knowledge of jazz was encyclopedic. Dick had a wicked, albeit offbeat sense of humor. There was an annual Christmas gift exchange swap at Farmley, $10 limit for items. You always knew what gift was purchased by Dick because it was invariably wrapped in log paper with the word Yule written on it, i.e. Yule log. Get it? Two things stand out about our professional relationship at Parma Hearing Institute. Dick Fay was obsessed with the graphical representation of neural information. Long before there were 3D graphical displays, he would painstakingly use pins of various colors that were embedded in a styrofoam base. Horizontal and vertical axes of the styrofoam represented two stimulus dimensions, and the height of the pin represented the discharge rate. I can no longer remember what two variables were there represented along the two axes, but he would look at this 3D representation from all possible angles until he gleaned the underlying neural code. This is trivial to do with modern tools like MATLAB, but Dick Fay was doing it mechanically at a time when we were barely able to plot XY functions. As an undergraduate, I remember this. I actually thought it was modern art. I had no idea it was a graphical representation of a neural stimulus. The Fay Auditory Nerve Stimulator. Dick wrote in Turbo Pascal a program that allowed one to record very realistic spike trains from the auditory nerve fibers of several different species, including humans. This program had state-of-the-art graphical user interfaces for 1982. He used this in the lab in psychobiology, which he taught each semester from the mid-1980s until his retirement in the spring of 2011. It can be used to measure frequency tuning curves, interval histograms, spike count distributions, and a host of other types of graphs commonly used by auditory neuroscientists. The problem is that Turbo Pascal was never supported by Windows. Dick managed to nurse 4 to 5 DOS bootable computers to life each semester so that he could offer students the opportunity to explore information processing by a sensory system without actually recording from a live animal. When it became evident that he was retiring in 2011, he and I looked at the 45 pages of completely undocumented code. Toby had never learned Turbo Pascal, and Dick had long since forgotten what the various modules did. Fortunately, DOSBox is a program that stimulates a DOS operating system. And using DOSBox, he could run his old compiled version on the lab, which now had 40 computers in it. In using this program since 2011, I will tell you that it displays characteristics about the auditory neural responses that weren't known until the mid-1990s. The nuts and bolts of it were realistic and elegant. What I most miss about Dick is his warm smile and infectious enthusiasm for life. I first arrived at Loyola as a 27-year-old, naive 27-year-old. I always felt that Dick and I could talk about anything, music, art, science, life. I think about him every day. He is an absolutely unique character, and of all of us miss him. Thank you.